Welcome back to Salesforce CPQ Specialist training. This is our third video talking about bundles and specifically how configuring the bundle will drive how the UI works. So we're going over our bundle example, the time travel machine. And we want to see how that impacts how the UI works. And again, there's three basic steps or screens to the UI. There's the product selection page, the product configuration page, and then the quote line editor. And there's two concepts that are on the exam that are really important to know. So there's a concept of feature and a concept of feature group categories. So remember, we have our lead product that could have product options that then point back to specific products. And we have features, which is a grouping of product options. And if you look at the UI for our quotes, you'll remember that we've got these box, which groups the options. And then we have these tabs up here, which groups the different types of features. So this gets a little confusing. So first off, the individual boxes, these are the features. So DeLorean model is a feature, engine type is a feature. And then we assigned the product option, DeLorean 1980, DeLorean 1981, to the feature DeLorean model. Again, engine type is a feature. We assign biodiesel engine and gas fossil product options to this feature. Now, these tabs up here, vehicle options, vehicle accessories, these are feature categories. So what we can do is on the feature, we can assign a category. And this is where Salesforce CPQ can get tricky. So let me just show you what it looks like. So here, remember DeLorean model and engine type are on the same tab. If I click on the DeLorean model here, you'll see a category called vehicle options right here. And that vehicle options is this tab right here. So if you see this other product option, feature, engine type, I'm going to go back to our lead product and I go to engine type. Its category is vehicle options. So the question you should ask is, well, how did this value vehicle options show up in a picklist value here in the metadata? So see, vehicle options. And you can also see this vehicle accessories, which is the other tab on this quote right here, vehicle accessories. So instead of creating a record in Salesforce CPQ, we have to go to the setup and go behind the scenes. And let's look at the product feature object. So in the product feature object, you'll notice the very first field here is called category. We can go in here and we can just add our own values to this pick list field. That's all it is. It's a pick list. That's all it is. You just have to know to go back and add a value into setup called whatever you want. So if I go in here and I say time travel feature category 1, I can now go back to my options, and if I wanted to, and I refreshed, I could assign that feature category. So you can see time travel feature category 1 is here. If I save that, now if I go back to my quote, I'm going to go ahead and add time travel machine. And you can now see that there's a tab here called time travel feature category 1 that we just added. So just to go back again here. So what that means is on this object here, on the product feature, aka feature, you go into the setup, go to the category pick list, and add your own value that you want to use as a tab. So that's one of that comes up on the test multiple times. So you have to know that pretty well. Now, the other thing that comes up on the test on how to manipulate the UI are two fields called the configuration type and the configuration event. The configuration type, if you recall from our very first slide, when we talked about the sandwiches, we talked about going to a corner store to buy a static bundle and buying a prepackaged sandwich. So you can't choose the meat, you can't choose the cheese, you just buy a sandwich and eat it as is, versus going to your local favorite deli, choosing what type of bread you want, choosing what type of meat you want, choosing what type of condiments you want. That's determined here in the configuration type. The other thing that's important to note is that there's a configuration event. And so this determines how users can access the configurator. We've set our examples up to always, or to none, which is a default to always. But if you set it to add, that means you can only access the configurator when you're adding the product to the quote. And if you set it to edit, that means you can only access the configuration screen, the configurator, when you're editing the quote, which is pretty rare. So just be careful with the add, because if you select add, again, they can only select the configurator when they add the product to the quote. And some of these quotes can get pretty complex, so it's not like they can just delete the quote and start over again. You don't want to do that, especially with all the back and forth with the clients. You set these values here, the configuration type and the configuration event, you set that at the lead product level. So if we go over here, let's go ahead and go to our main product here. Time travel machine. So configuration type and then configuration event.